Well, their objective with C5 was to strengthen the Canadian economy by reducing federal barriers to interprovincial trade as well as labor mobility. And our members certainly appreciate the intent of the bill and the ongoing efforts by the federal and provincial governments to reduce cumulative regulatory burden and facilitate the expansion of interprovincial trade of goods. I think certainly, as we've seen with the US, uncertainty in terms of our trading relationships with other partners, it's provided for a bit of a wake-up call to make sure that we're also making sure that we are trading across the country as well and not only focusing on those external markets. For my members, there are some significant concerns with the Act, not as much as it relates to labor mobility. I think that's something that's very much appreciated. But if the Act is to not exempt food products, we are concerned that it could actually fragment Canada's food safety system. The federal inspection regime under the Safe Food for Canadians regulations, or the SFCR, it's rooted in internationally recognized science-based standards, while provincial systems vary widely, and none currently meet the federal bar. So there is a bit of concerns there for not to exempt food from the Act itself. Yeah, so the act does seek to make it easier when it comes to skilled trades, being able to transfer your capabilities from one province to another. And I think that's very welcome. Many of our companies have operations in more than one province. So anything that makes it a bit easier for labor to move across provincial lines, certainly welcome. Some of the provincial systems, some are very close to the federal standard, but none currently meet that federal standard. So we do see that there's gaps that exist in areas like veterinary oversight, pathogen controls, traceability, and recall capabilities. So we're concerned that if we don't exempt food, it could actually create risks to food safety and consumer confidence, as well as undermining our export capacity. And at the end of the day, make it more difficult for CFIA to be able to coordinate national recalls and manage outbreaks when they occur. Well, our recommendation, and we worked quite closely with our membership to get to this recommendation, is that food products should be exempted from Bill C5, while CFIA works with the provinces and territories to align their systems with SFCR standards. We've also put forward a recommendation that the federal bar should not be lowered. Instead, we should be making investments to help those small and medium-sized manufacturers, if they wish, upgrade their facilities to meet those federal standards. And to that end, we've been recommending that the $200 million for the domestic processing fund that was previously committed to, that's very welcome, but that we need to consider making sure that that fund is resourced adequately over the long term. We've been recommending $2 billion over 5 years to ensure that the fund is sufficiently resourced to support these infrastructure upgrades. I think more work needs to be done in understanding the percentage of companies that wish to meet the federal standard. We have a good understanding when it comes to meat, because the majority of meat is federally inspected
Yeah.
plants. But I think recognizing that we need to understand the rest of the system would be helpful for us. And I know CFIA has been doing a bit of work on that. And then really to get a better understanding as to what barriers companies are currently facing in meeting those federal standards. Is it a misunderstanding of what's required to meet the federal standards? Is it infrastructure changes that are too expensive, or there's too much uncertainty right now to invest in that? I think it would be helpful if we could have a better understanding of those things first. Well, we're working with the provincial and regional associations to understand the the barriers that are being seen by those smaller and medium-sized companies, and then being able to connect them really with decision makers if we need to be able to provide a better understanding as to those realities, the needs of the industry, and how we can move some of those needs forward. I would maybe comment on what we've done already. Our
Yeah.
submission on Bill C5 to the Privy Council office. We worked with our members, making sure that we had the views of the different product categories, recognizing that the needs of dairy are very different than baking versus meat. We also worked with all six of the provincial and regional associations to make sure that we were reflecting the regional realities of this bill as well. And now we've actually been meeting with officials. So we've been bringing together some of our company members. We will be bringing together some of our provincial representatives as well to meet with both bureaucrats as well as ministers' offices and decision makers to make sure that we're making it clear our concerns around this bill and how we can mitigate any impacts on food safety and consumer confidence.